folks, your boy Iceberg here, and on this episode of On the Icebox with Iceberg Bricks, we talk with Chad Collins, the creator of Brickfest. And Chad gave some excellent answers to some of the questions. The dialogue that he was able to give actually allowed me to break this interview down into two parts. So I'll be airing this part here today and the second part tomorrow. Each one is 40 minutes each, so I try to get you to watch both of them without watching all of it in one shot. So very interesting conversation with Chad. I wish I could interview him again because I had so much more questions to ask him, but he gave this interview 100%. Don't take my word for it. Check it out for yourself. Hey folks, it's your boy Iceberg Bricks, and welcome back to another edition of On the Icebox with Iceberg Bricks. My guest today is an extraordinary guest. He's an event planner. He's a new acclaimed author. He's done a lot in the Lego community, and if you don't know this guy, you know this guy. You know somebody that knows this guy. And it's the only one and only Chad Collins of Brickfest, the Brickfest.
What up?
What's going on, man? How you feeling, man?
Oh, man, I'm good. It's Friday when we're recording this. So everyone's like in a better place. But I've been looking forward to this all week. As soon as I saw it on my calendar, I was like, yes, can't wait. So,
yeah. Man, when I reached out to you, man, and anybody that knows, like, if granted, I'm not gonna lie. Me and Chad, we don't go do happy hour together. We don't do wings or anything like that together. So we're not buddy. But I have known Chad through the Brickfest events and online, and he's a very personable person. He's a person that you can reach out to, and that was awesome. So when I asked you to do the interview, and you said, "Yeah, man, sure, no problem. Go see this person. Put on my calendar." I said, "Cool." So then he put me on the spot though, because I'm like, man, what am I gonna ask this guy? So I need to ask this guy some real questions, some real content, So so it took me a little while to actually put something together. I put it together for you. I got it.
Yeah, man. Look, you did your homework, and that's admirable, right? You gotta be prepared for what you do and what you love, and you're coming to the table prepared.
Yes, indeed. Have to be. When you're stepping with the big dogs, right? Yeah. So, man, this is the $1 million question that I asked all my guests.
Yeah.
How did you get into Lego? A lot of people know your story, and some folks don't. How did you get into Lego?
So look, I think like a lot of people, there's you're into it and you're enthusiastic, and then there's like a dip, like there's a lull, like your dark years, your dark age, and then you come back, and like a lot of people, I would say, and then I didn't go all the way dark, kind of like maybe like gray for a few years, and then back. But basically, ever since I can remember, my parents buying me Lego sets as a kid, and building like at the kitchen table, right? Like I remember me and my dad building like, the original Benny spaceship, right? Yeah. at my kitchen table. I remember it clearly. And the reason I remember it so clearly is because I remember he was more interested in building it. Like he was like doing more of the building than I was doing, right?
Okay.
And I was like, why aren't you letting me do this?
Right.
Mine. So that got me like wanting it even more. And then I remember like my first train set that I had, and basically I took over like my parents' kitchen table, and like for months it was just you couldn't eat there because like that's where I had my Lego train running and building up my little city.
Right.
And then so like through the years, like even like through adulthood, like my good friends or my family would buy me like, here's like, here's a Lego set that I got for you, right? Because they knew I would enjoy it, and I would build it. Okay. And like even my friends would still come over through like middle school, and we would have Lego building contests, and my brother would be the judge, and my builds always were bad, and my friend would always win the contest, and it was like all that. And then you get to and you're working, right? So now it's like you're focused on your career, and you're focused on building a family and all this stuff, right? And that's when I would say like things started to kind of turn, and I wasn't into it as I used to be, but I would still, like, every time I went to the store, I'd like walk down the Lego aisle. You know what I mean? Like, you still like got the eye. So, so then there was like this moment where a friend of mine at work was like asking me to go to lunch with him at the mall, and we go to the mall, and like right by the food court, out the corner of my eye, I see like a Lego logo, and I was like, "Is that a Lego store?" And he's like, "Yeah, they have a Lego store here." And I didn't even know the Lego stores existed. Okay. And we walked in, and at the back of the store was the pick-a-brick wall. And I was like, "So you could just like fill as many bricks as you want into a cup?" And I'm like, right? Like as a kid, I literally would write letters to Lego, right? Because I wanted to build like a WWE championship belt, and I wanted like, thousands of the hinge pieces. Right. So I would write to Lego like, "Hey man, like, I just want to buy this one piece, but I want to buy a lot of them. Can you tell me how I could do that?" And all they would do is send me back like catalogs of like their newest sets. Right. Like, that's not right. Like that's not what right. When I saw the pick-a-brick wall, I was like, I need to fill it. So that day right there on the spot, I remember I filled a couple of cups, and then I brought them home, and my daughter Jordan was 7 years old at the time. Introduced them to her, and she loved it, and that was just like, all right, now I can go all the way back in, because now I felt like that was my green light to be like, all right, now I can explore this now with my daughter Jordan, and I can go to the Lego store and I can buy more, and I can kind of see where this goes. And then like the rest is kind of history, as they say. So right? An impromptu question. So take you back to your childhood. Did you ever build that championship wrestling belt? Not the version I wanted. So I did build the belt. Okay. But I didn't do it the way I had in my head. Okay. So you know what I mean? Like it's the 1x2 and the 1x2 with the hinge in the middle. Right. Like I wanted like all of those, so it would be like real nice and tight. But I did build a belt. Okay. It wasn't how, I had in my head. I got you. Good deal, man. Yeah, man. You got to fulfill those kid dreams, man. You got it. Yep. So, what and when was your first event show that you planned? If people don't know, Chad is an event planner. He does so many more things even outside of Lego that we're going to touch on. Yeah. But what was your first event show that you planned? The first Lego show was the first one was Philly Brickfest 2014. Okay. And we started our YouTube channel back in January of 2012. Okay. And through like that channel and the growth of that channel, we got to connect with other folks on the show and other vendors like that you see at these Lego shows. Right. And really the concept, the idea was for me and Jordan was like, let's go to a Lego event. So we can show our audience that you could be in a room of people just as enthusiastic as you are about this thing that we love. Right. And being from Philly, it was like, well, this is the 5th biggest market in the United States. There has to be a Lego event near us that we can just go to. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And we just wanted to like set up a table and like interview people and just make content for our YouTube channel. And after like a quick Google search, it turned out that like the only things that were near us were like Lego events at like a library, right? Whether they were there. Yeah, and we went to those events, but it wasn't like for me it was like, no, there needs to be something more. There needs to be like, so the closest convention was actually Brick Fair. So you've probably been to Brick Fair, Virginia. I still have my ticket to the first Brick Fair. So this is Brick Fair, Virginia, 2013. So it was like great. So we went. So me and Jordan, we went to Brick Fair.
Okay.
But like right before we went, it was like, well, if there's not a big convention in Philly, and we've already kind of made all these friends in the Lego community, why not ask our friends if they would come to a show if we put one on?
Right.
And then if we get like affirmations, then let's find a venue and let's do it. So found a venue. He somehow convinced them, someone with no experience, to put on, a convention.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, sure. Like they took a shot. And then we asked a bunch of our friends, hey, would you come? Would you display? Would you be a vendor? Right. Reach out to Kevin Hinkle when he worked at Lego, and got their buy-in, and kind of just got the ball rolling like that. So going to that first Brick Fair for us was eye-opening, because a lot of the vendors and displayers that already I'd been communicating with, I'm finally able to see them in person.
Right.
And like for a first time event, no one knows if it's going to like be successful, or if it's going to be a flop, or like if it's going to happen at all. And for us, it was important to, put a face with a name, like have that human connection, which is really what these events are all about anyway. It's like, let's have that human connection, and then so they could feel more confident about, their commitment to participating at the first ever Philly Brickfest in 2014. Yeah.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Yeah, because it's like, that you going to Brick Fair is almost like you guys sat down, you thought about it, you did your homework, you took notes, and I mean, because it's like anybody could throw a party, but what's the the big surprise at the party? What's going to keep people coming back? And we'll talk about what actually goes in to the event planning, because not people know. You buy your ticket and it's like, oh, this is wonderful. You got stuff here going on. This is wonderful. But there's a lot of people that are stressed out behind that curtain. And we'll talk about it. So what are your what are some other shows that you may have been involved in outside of Lego?
Well, so we ran Brickfest Live for 2 years. All 2014, all 2015, and then I called a buddy of mine, Gabe Young, who'll be at the show when you see him in Philly. He's usually on roller skates.
Okay.
And really had the thought, like what are other things that people are really enthusiastic about where we could deliver an experience for them.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of ideas, and then one night, Gabe brought his son, Jaden, to like a young engineers night at a local high school. And he told me about this, and he said, if there's going to be an event, maybe we make it around all this like science and tech stuff.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh man, because like that's so in line like with what Lego is, and how it can be used in education, and how kids love it, and there's all these other things that kids also love, and Lego could also be a part of that. And I'm like, the ideas start going.
Right.
So we created an event called Young Innovators Fair, and we launched that in January of 2016 in the same spot at the Philly Expo Center.
Okay.
And had like you said, like a huge party, right? About 20,000 people showed up to that very first Young Innovators Fair.
Okay.
Now, at that event, we broke it up into different like segments. So we had Hackers Hideout and Robots Retreat and Biologist Bay, right? We hit like we created 10 different innovation worlds where all these different like science and tech elements kind of like sprinkled throughout.
Okay.
And in our Hackers Hideout world, there was a big Minecraft exhibit there, and there was so much enthusiasm then for Minecraft. And we had the idea, like, should we do a Minecraft show? But then that was just like, it was like, again, it was like more affirmation than like, we should maybe take this part of the show, take this part of Young Innovators Fair and make our own show out of it.
Okay. Okay.
And then in October of 2016, we created the first ever Mind Fair. And now my two big that we tour with nationwide every year. We do about 20 events total a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a lot, man. That
Yeah.
is a lot, man. That's a lot of logistics that go behind, with the event planning, because like you're inviting certain, like I said, you're inviting certain innovation and people that innovate in different from different types of genres, and it's just that's a lot to deal with, man. That's a lot, and just to be on opening day, I'm sure your heart is pounding. Like, are they going to show up? Are people going to show up? And then when that door opens, it's a sigh of relief because you got people lined up.
I'll tell you, I remember like very clearly, like the first few events that we put on. A lot of people talk about like they get wedding nightmares. Like, and shows up, like stuff like that. Right. And I had those nightmares about our events. Where like, I mean, I've had event nightmares. But like interestingly, like the way we've set up, like how we talk about our events, how we promote our events, the mechanics in how we sell tickets to our events. Okay. Like we have the confidence now that like when we do open the doors, right, there is going to be that line of people, because now today, 90% of the tickets are sold like well before the show even starts. Right. So we know exactly from an event production team what to expect. Right. Which is helpful for everyone. It's helpful for our participants. It's helpful for our staff. It's helpful for the attendees because we are expecting it all. Right. And it's just stuff you learn kind of as you go. Yeah, it makes it, and that actually makes it better for the logistics. It does. That way you plan, accordingly to who's coming in. Yeah. And so like this, some of the scuttlebutt was, oh man, why are these tickets so high? Oh man, why? And I actually had a conversation with a couple, people from the YouTube community, and I said, look, he probably want the participants to be more invested into Philly Brickfest. Now, if I'm more invested into Philly Brickfest, I am Philly Brickfest, and and that's the whole thing, because I own just a bit of the state, because so I'm gonna make sure that, hey, look, come to the show, I'm displaying. Hey, look, come to the show, I'm displaying, because I invested into Philly Brickfest. I'm gonna tell you something. You said that perfectly, right? Like that should be a catchphrase, right? I am Philly Brickfest. Right. Yeah. Because I mean, maybe like we were going to get to this, but like there are a bunch of different Lego conventions out there, right? No one here is saying that like Philly Brickfest is the only Lego convention. Like no matter where you're watching, there's probably one within like a couple 100 miles from where you live, right? Mm-hmm. But what's the difference? I think like what makes Philly Brickfest unique? Why is it different, right? And at the end of the day, like most conventions that are out there that you can go to and display at and all this stuff are typically anchored around the local club or the local Lego user group, right? Right. This is like a physical group. They have regular meetings, and they're recognized by Lego as a lug. And we have those in Philly too, and they display at our shows. Right. But the interesting thing about Philly is because of your creative friends, right? The YouTube channel that we started like back in 2012. Right. This event attracts people like you, people that are coming in from Florida, people that are coming in from Wisconsin, like people that are coming in like literally from like the furthest stretches of the United States and Canada, and overseas, because they have that feeling that you have. I am Philly Brickfest, right? Right. I'm coming. I have a YouTube channel, right? I am on Instagram, and I'm part of the show. So not only is it come see all the cool Lego creations and come get inspired, but it's also you get to come and hang out with the folks that you've been watching on YouTube for all these years, which is different than any other show. No other Lego convention brings our community, right? The Philly Brickfest community, in the way, like social influencers, whatever you want to call it, YouTubers, in the way that the Philly show does.
Yes.
So, like, so man, I love that. I mean, you said it perfectly, right? I am Philly Brickfest, like, because you are Philly Brickfest, right? Philly Brickfest is the people that come to the show, and that's from a displayer standpoint, and
Right.
it's yeah, it's amazing. That's what motivates me. That's what gets the hairs to stand up on my arms.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's how you know. And Chad, you throw some good shows, man. I'm telling you, man. Like, you throw some good shows. I've been physically to two, but I've seen on Facebook the other shows that you have done, and it's just astounding, man. Astounding.
Oh, thanks, man.
So, what are your aspirations? What's the next big adventure? Not just for Philly Brickfest, or Brickfest, I should say. What's the next big adventure for Chad?
Yeah, projects that we're working on right now. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned one earlier. So for, like, if you asked about Chad, right? This is like Chad brand, like whatever you want to. Right. Is we're working on a book called Brickonomics that's going to be out in May.
Okay.
But working really hard for some of my special friends that are going to be hanging out in April. So maybe some pre-release action. But yeah, I mean, like, I think everyone, like, I really think everyone in the world has stories that they could tell that other people would be interested in learning about, right? Like everyone has a book inside of them, and everyone kind of thinks about that, but then there's like the next step. It's like, how do I get it all out, and how do I get it packaged, right? Because it's a huge effort, and then what is the end game? Like, why? Like, what's the reason you want to do this anyway?
Right.
And even before Brickfest Live, Philly Brickfest came to be, like, of course, like, I had the same thoughts everyone else is. Like, oh man, like, that story would, like, go really good in a book or a movie or whatever. And but once the whole event business began to take shape, and, like, a lot of people don't know this, but, like, I came from a family of entrepreneurs. I saw what it was like for businesses to do well, but I was also, a child that grew up in a family where sometimes business wasn't great, and you kind of had to, like, ride the highs and lows of what was going on, right? So I kind of made the decision at an early age that I just wanted to get a steady job, and I wanted a steady income, and I wanted to be able to provide for my family, that way. And I didn't want to have, like, anything to do with, being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I did that for a long time, 15, 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
But as you go through, like, if you have these tendencies, if you have these instincts, right? Someone once said to me, like, a frog must jump, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, something's going to happen which is going to catapult you into your future.
Okay.
And it turned out that, like, look, when we announced Philly Brickfest, the idea behind Philly Brickfest was just to bring a group of people together that wanted to hang out and do this one show one time a year.
Right.
But the enthusiasm behind it, led us to, evaluate, like, could we do a show in more than one place a year? Mm-hmm. Could we do a show in 5 places a year? And then as momentum started to build, it was like, wow, like, this is a lot of fun.
Right.
And the income matches, like, what I was doing, over here, like, working for someone else. And, is now the right time to kind of push all my chips in and go all in on this other venture, knowing that if it didn't work out, I could always go back.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot of stories in the book about kind of how those decisions were made. And then, really, it's, like, also meant to inspire others. Like, if you have aspirations to have your own business, maybe, and everyone has a hobby, maybe there's a way for you to add value to your hobby in a way that other people aren't doing, right? We happen to do it with an event, and it ends up becoming a lifestyle for us. Right. So there's probably other ways that other people could figure that out. And now we could use our story as, like, permission to go ahead and investigate that.
Gotcha. So you actually covered the next question, which was how would you describe your work or your contribution to the Lego community? We know what you do, Chad, but do you know what you do for us?
Do I look? There's a moment at every Philly Brickfest where you don't see me, but I see you.
Right.
And that's the moment where I take time to reflect on that. And it doesn't happen often, but I make it a point to do it every April in Philly.
Right.
There was one thing that happened at like the first ever show where, you know, we brought all these people in and it was closing ceremonies and there's maybe 100 people sitting in chairs. And I just simply asked the question, you know, how many people raise your hand if you made a new friend this weekend? Okay. Right. And like everyone's hand went up and it was like, you know, raise your hand if, you know, you're able to reconnect with someone that you maybe haven't seen in a while and you're able to strengthen your bond with that person. Right. Right. And everyone's hand went up. And to me, that's like, you know, if Philly Brickfest can provide a platform for those types of relationships to form and blossom, like that's everything.
Right.
That's everything. So it's just, yeah, I mean, I try to think about it at least once at Philly. But, you know, to be honest, I don't reflect on it probably as much as I should. But
okay.
Look, I get you guys, like, you know, like the messaging that I see and going back and forth with a lot of you guys. I mean, I feel it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that feeling.
Right.
But yeah, I could probably do a better job at you know, really, really understanding it. I mean, I'd love to hear from you. Like, tell me, what does it mean?
It means everything. It's just like you actually described it. You provide an arena that I, you know, normal person, I probably would have never got to meet Haley and Brickhamer. I probably would have got to meet a Bricksmith. You know, I probably would have never got to meet these people. And it was funny because I went from being a spectator, and in a year's time, I'm one of them, and they see me as an equal, but I don't see that. I'm starstruck. You know, I see Big B, I see Bricksmith, I see, you know, the boys from Holland and Ballin, and you know, I see all of them, and it, you know, I'm starstruck. You know, and it's like, you know, and it's like, hey, you know, Bricksmith had to tap me on, hey man, relax, you one of us, like just relax. So I think that. You know, and I met, I made a ton of friends. You know, I'm so glad, Bricks for Chris came out because I really wanted to see him, and I'm so glad he came out. And it's just, it means a lot because, I tell you that, I tell you something that a lot of, I guess the YouTubers or the YouTube community didn't really know about me. But like 2 years ago, I lost my grandmother, and so I actually really started into Lego to kind of keep my mind off of the grief. And so it kind of helped me, and in knowing that, it's a big community that like the same thing that I like, and that is even better. So, these 2 years actually been a kind of a rehab for me trying to get over my grandmother's death. And so, and I wanted to thank you for providing an arena that made that a lot easier.
Oh man, thank you. Yeah, I mean, Lego, even personally, have used it for healing, but yeah, I mean, well, thank you. I mean, that was very touching.
It's the truth, man. It's the truth. So in business, right? Thanks to my grandmother, I kind of inherited her business, so I'm trying to vamp it up a little bit. But in business, I learned that a lot goes in year by year, and there's what they say watershed moments where you go like from your 5th year anniversary to your 10th year anniversary. It goes, a lot of reinventing goes in and out of business. So tell me, what goes into reinventing yourself? What goes into reinventing Brickfest?
Yeah, so with Brickfest, well, ourselves, I mean, gosh, that's a great question. So let's talk about like reinventing yourself first, because I think a lot of people can relate with that. Like, we are all in a constant state of becoming better people. Right. And when we started with the events, like we had a team of like 4 people pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've grown to a production team of 25 full-time people, right? Because of like all these other events that we do.
Okay.
And you, like, as a person, as a business person, you need to be able to let go of things in order for you to grow.
Okay.
Right. So for instance, like, you know, I talked about, like, I went to our venue and convinced them to, you know, lease me some space so we could have the first ever Philly show. Well, for a long time, like, my job was contact all the venues and do all the agreements with all the venues, and not only venues, but lots of other participants and partners.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to like grow, not only Philly Brickfest, but all of our shows, you need to be able to train other people how to do those things so they can feel great about, you know, fulfilling what they need fulfilled on the inside. Okay. So being able to teach, right, and watch other people excel, is like a reimagining of what we do as like business people. Okay. And then if you talk about the event, how can we continue to make the event different or bigger every year? Like at Philly, we try to like implement at least one new wrinkle every year that kind of like takes it up like one more notch. And what's neat about Philly though is like you're doing it, right? Like you showed me a mock that you're bringing to the show that you've never brought before, right? So the thing, like, if you're thinking about it, if all the people that are coming to the show are thinking about it, like, you better believe, like, we're thinking about the same thing. Like, right? How do we deliver? So last year, for instance, we tried a couple of things with like opening ceremonies in prior years that we missed on. It was like we could have provided a better experience for our attendees. Right. And so last year we let's get together with Legoland Discovery Center and take over Legoland Discovery Center, and that'll be like our opening party, right? So instead, right, like let's kick it off like with a party, right? And that was like, yes, like I felt like, all right, cool, like we're already upping our game. So we're gonna do like the same thing this year. We're going back to Legoland Discovery Center to kick things off this year. Awesome. So we tried different things like that this year. We tried to implement like a theme, and we're going hard with like movies. We it out, and what can we do differently with awards and making that a little bit like next level. So yeah, we have all these ideas and surprises that we're thinking about, and just seeing it all come together at the event, seeing how you guys react to it. What motivates us to try and do more every single year. So look, we always say, like, we judge the success of any event by the smiles on faces. Okay. So,
yeah, you like smiles. You do.
We like smiles. So so we see smiles, and then it's like, all right, cool. Like that decision or that thing we tried was the right thing.
Yeah, good deal. Well answered. I like that. So, event planning is a business, and at the end of the day, there's always a bottom line, right? How do you make two worlds of business and family, like family meaning the Lego community, meet with a happy medium? Now, granted, like I'm a Lego enthusiast. I love spending money on Lego. I don't like spending money on anything else. It's more I'm sure there's more people that's like that. How do you make a happy medium between the two?
You're saying like between like the attendees, like the AFOLs that come, and then having like the big show. Is that the question? Yeah. I mean, look, I've been more, I think, than any other event producer in like our world. Typically, the Lego event producers that are out there talk about like Brick Universe, Brick Fair, Brick World, Brick Fiesta, like all of the people that produce those shows. It's either A, their full-time job and that's the only thing that they do is produce Lego events, or B, like they produce the show on the side. Like it's not their full-time job, but they do it on the side.
Right. Okay.
So we come at it and we're very open about this. Like we are an event production company, right? Like there's no doubt about it. We are a business. We operate a lot of the things we do. We operate as a business. So to me, it's really easy because like there's this other instinct of being a provider, right? So I think as like anyone that has a family can kind of relate to this. I feel like everyone that works with us, everyone that's on our team I feel like they're family. And if we can produce events that can help them provide for their families, then it's our obligation to do as much as we can to hire as many people as we can so they could also provide.
Right.
So I kind of, to me, it's like all the same thing. So as a result of the success of the business, we can deliver the best experience for our attendees. Right. Instead of like, I don't know if we're going to be able to have prizes for this game because, I'm not sure if we're going to have enough funds to pay for it. Right. Like, I'm sure that those thoughts go through other folks' mind, right? If it's a side thing for them, but because Philly Brickfest is a piece of this other machine that's operating, right? We're able to leverage everything else that machine has built for the Philly Brickfest show to be the best experience for those that come.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've never been asked that before, but that was a great question.
Yeah, because it's tough. It is. It's tough. In any business, business could be cutthroat. Like you said, you have to be a good businessman. You have to be able to let go, because you'll dive deep and you'll be bleeding through the nose in cash that you'll never recover if you do.
I mean the other thing is, from a dollars and cents standpoint, like we know that our attendees, like the ones that are coming in from out of town, like you're coming in from out of town,
right?
Like, that means whatever, gas, tolls, hotel, like you're paying for all this stuff, and like the registration fee for Philly Brickfest is like compared to a hotel, it's like very small. Like you're saving all year to be like, okay, like this is a vacation, like I'm going, and like the cost to register is like one little line there,
right?
But even with the cost to register, like we try to over deliver on value. Like we know that you could spend whatever $70 at an amusement park for one day, and that just gets you in the door,
right?
Or you could have like 4 days hanging out with all your friends that love Lego in Philly, and also like probably go home with more Lego than you came with. So you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Philly Brickfest is coming. It's coming fast.
Right around the corner.
What's changed from last year? And tell me, mostly tell me about the new theme categories. If folks don't know, here's the spoiler. Tell me about the new theme categories.
So I think one of the biggest changes from this year, from last year to this year, is going to be the way we do some of the awards.
Okay.
So I think if I saw the schedule right, I think that Saturday night might be our awards instead of it's usually Sunday night. I might be wrong about that, but I know we're talking about like, do we switch this thing in the schedule?
Okay.
I don't want to go too deep right now into like the different categories.
Right.
But what I do want to tell you is that we're going to be changing the way like the voting happens, and we're also going to be opening up like a general public which I think people have like been wanting like for a long time.
Right.
So, and there's going to be more information about this like emailed out. But this, in my opinion, is like every builder's like their time where if someone is coming and they're checking out your mock, right, where you could be like, by the way, like you can go right over there, and if this happened to be your favorite one, you can like hit the button over there and let the guys know that that's your favorite, and because there's awards, right?
Right.
And I think that like that's going to be great for the builders, right? And it's also going to give like the general public like, oh, I can vote. Like now I need to go look at all of them.
Right.
Because sometimes they just walk by and then they just want to go play.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But now this is like, oh, there's like a thing here. Like I have a job. I have to vote. Well, now we're going to be more interested in the displays, right, this year than they maybe been in past years, right? And they're going to hear stories because I think, you know, a lot of folks are going to be encouraged to talk about their build.
Yes.
Maybe more so than they did before, and talk about techniques. And I'll tell you, every year, like, well, here's another thing I love about our show is because there's a lot of like personalities at the show. Yeah. Right. They like to engage with the public, and they'll know like if I'm talking to someone, like, oh, you know, like you understand. Right. Right. Like, oh, I said Bricklink and you know what that is, right? It's like okay. Right. And I think that you probably have like that same feeling, like coming the first time. There are a lot of people that have come as a, spectator year one, and then they're like, no, I need to be on the other side of the table next year. That happens every single year, which is great. Because they didn't know. I mean, as you know, it's unless you're it's hard to